Portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
You just heard Baby J about 3 minutes give his entire A to Z on what was going on. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't even got to everything, honestly.
No, you didn't get to everything.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, Melissa Lombardi, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
I can see Dan Lanning sitting in his office, rubbing his hands together and saying, yeah, bring it on. You're just giving me juice.
I think you could be the type of team that has guys that excel in certain things. You don't need somebody that's great at everything. You need to be able to put guys in position where they're going to succeed.
And some smiles.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing working? No, that's why you got to do this. You got to go.
Hello?
Hello? Testing, testing,
it's like the little
testing.
girl in Nemo where she's tapping on the glass.
Fishy! Fishy, wake up, Fishy!
It's Danny Havel.
We have to be more specific. We have a lot of pickle things going on,
know.
apparently.
Justin Grossweiner.
It's a Schwar bomb. That's a man right there hitting that ball.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport.
Hello, neighbors, and welcome high top the Delta Triad in the Crystal Palace, the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Eugene and Newport. This is the fastest 60 minutes in sports talk, the Danny and Justin radio program. We have a packed program for you today, and thanks for tuning in wherever and however here as we await the rain to come gently falling down the liquid sunshine this weekend here in the Willamette Valley and on the Oregon coast. I am Danny Havel. Right over there is my tag team partner, Justin Grossreiner. We call him Baby J. What a boy!
Well, it's an exciting show today. These are the kind of shows that I really look forward to. We got a bunch of different perspectives. We got the Wisconsin perspective. We got a national perspective. So a lot going on right now in Oregon sports. Just one of those days, right, Danny? One of those days.
I was out in the public today. I left my house before I came here, and I was traveling around, meeting, greeting,
Kissing babies,
kissing babies, shaking hands. Danny Havel running for class president. Thanks for participating.
Hall monitor.
But I also were you ever a hall monitor, by the way?
No.
Okay. Well, no, wait a second.
I was the troublemaker in school.
You were the one that was like,
Yeah.
do you have your hall pass?
I was the
and
one
you
that
were
would
the one
just
that said
leave.
no.
Yeah, I would just leave class.
Wow,
There was a substitute teacher, and this is way off topic. We got so into it at times where I would literally see her in the class, and I would just walk out because I knew that she would kick me out anyways.
Wow. All right. Few moments from now, Adam Rittenberg from ESPN. We've got Matt Lepay, the voice of Wisconsin, return guest on the program. We've got our Big Ten power rankings coming up. Tomorrow, big bets. And an exciting program tomorrow as well, because Friday is always fun here in the studio. We're going to have Goose in here. But I was out and about, but I also had a pleasant conversation with Britton Schroeder, who is the general manager at Mercedes. You know, I love my car.
Yes, you do.
250 CLA. I love my car. I got to take it in for service. But I was talking to him about helping Oregon athletics, because, I'm also the VP of the O Club. And there's Adam calling in right now. So we'll get to him in just two shakes. But Britton is a KU guy. It's Kansas versus Kansas State in the Sunflower Showdown. Britton's going to be there on the opposite side of me on the big bets this week.
Yes.
But a huge supporter of athletics. So, and a great those guys down at Mercedes in Eugene, if you don't already have one, I'm going to be hawking for them. Go down. Britton will take care of you. His staff will take care of you. The service is incredible. So there's my plug, unsolicited, from Mercedes of Eugene. Let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinics hotline and welcome in our first guest right away, right at the top of the hour. We welcome him in. He's we had him on the Big Ten Championship week where we were in Indianapolis. Oregon's probably not going to get back there, but we welcome him back anyway. The great Adam Rittenberg. You can follow him on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg. He's the senior writer of college football for ESPN, Sirius XM College as well. He works at DePaul University, and he joins us here on the Oregon Man Clinics hotline. Adam, well, things are just really calm in college football right now, correct?
Indeed. It's been a wild season on the field, wild season with coaching firings and that whole process beginning. And, it's just a a very volatile sport, but certainly one that isn't boring.
So, I mean, Adam, and I love what you write because you are measured and you give a great calm perspective with the rustle and the bustle of what goes on in college football. So, I mean, did we already have an instant gratification society going back 5 or 7 years? Or did NIL and the transfer portal and the pressure on, especially in the football area with the college football playoff and such, kind of accelerate the I guess the angst within certain programs to make quick changes to their coaching ranks if they don't have immediate success?
Yeah, I know, and it's tough too. I mean, James Franklin, you could say it was a quick change because of how fast it happened in season. It wasn't a quick change in terms of how long he had been there, but I do think that the patience level has gone down because of the portal and NIL and the ability to get good in a hurry, that you don't have to build it, so to speak, for years and years before your team can be ready to compete for a national championship. And Penn State was modeling itself very much after Ohio State, that put in a lot of money after the 2023 season and then went out and won a national title. Penn State was hoping for the same thing, and when it didn't go in that direction, they decided that it was never going to go in that direction under James Franklin. Whether they're right or not, we'll never know, but they made that decision, and they felt like it was not necessary to continue forward at this time. And, similar with Florida. Florida put in a lot of money. That was sort of the criticism of their program before Billy Napier got there, and they gave Billy a lot of resources, staffing-wise, and ability to recruit at a really high level. And there is a 500 coach, and that just isn't good enough at a program like Florida. And there could and will be others that follow that same approach, that, hey, if you're not getting it done, we're not going to wait around and see if you turn it around. We're going to make that change right now.
So you've got a coach coming in here to Eugene and Autzen Stadium on Saturday that is had a rough go of it over the last couple of weeks and actually this season. Injuries have decimated the Wisconsin program. Luke Fickell was the star a few years ago coming out of Cincinnati and national playoff implications. And he comes to Wisconsin in a storied program, and it just has not worked out. So I would say, what's the meter in your estimation on Luke Fickell, one, finishing out the season, and or two, keeping this job in Madison?
Yeah, it's a really tough situation for a program that had been really the model for, very good in college football, sometimes great, but often very good and never bad. And that's where they're at right now. And it sort of feeds into our previous discussion about money, because that was the message coming out of Wisconsin earlier this week, which was, hey, we're going to put more money into this program. And for now, we're going to go forward with Luke Fickell. But that might have been a message, too, to the next head coach that we realize we're behind in terms of our investment. We are going to invest more and give ourselves a chance to compete for championships. And that was really why Luke Fickell was hired. They weren't a disastrous program under Paul Chryst, but
Absolutely.
They felt that Luke could put them over the hump and get into the playoff, and it's gone completely in the other direction. So to answer your question about how long he has the job, it's hard to have the type of losses that they've had week after week and continue to go forward. But Chris McIntosh, the athletic director who hired him, is very much in his corner for as long as he can be, because it was his hire. And at some point, he may not be able to take that approach. But I think with that message last week, if they were to make a change so soon after that, it would be a little bit jarring, but certainly understandable, because the results have been so poor, and it doesn't appear like they're going to turn around anytime soon.
Right, and the season's loss, and McIntosh is tied to Luke Fickell. Again, he, as you just said, he hired Luke Fickell, so obviously he wants to see some kind of semblance of turnaround, but they haven't scored in 2 games. It doesn't look good coming to Eugene, so yeah, it's a dire situation in Madison. Justin.
Adam Rittenberg with us here on the Danny and Justin radio program. One guy whose job is very secure is Curt Cignetti, and I think we've maybe finally gotten past the point of saying, well, but
they're an underdog.
Indiana.
Yeah.
But where are you with them? Do you think they're a real championship contender at this point? Are you still kind of wait and see on if they get to the Big Ten championship game, what they do against Ohio State to really declare that?
No, I'm there, right? I'm there with Indiana, and it's what happened in Eugene that really solidified it for me. You just don't see, and I'm not educating you guys on this. You don't see too many programs go in there and beat the Ducks the way that they did, and there was nothing fluky about it. I mean, you take the pick six away, and what does Oregon have in that game? I mean, they're essentially dominated. So that to me was the enough of a sign to say, this Indiana team, you can try to put limits on them, and people will put limits on them, and maybe Ohio State outclasses them in the Big Ten championship game. But Kurt Cignetti's team is better than it was last year. They're better at the offensive line. They're better at quarterback. I would say they're even better on defense. And I think this team is absolutely deserving of where it's ranked and deserving of being in that national championship conversation. So the exciting thing is we'll likely get to see that matchup of Ohio State and Indiana going at it, with Ohio State, its first appearance before a full house since 2019, and Indiana, the closest campus to Lucas Oil Stadium, its first appearance in that game. So I've sat through some dud Big Ten title games, quite a few actually, and this one will not be that.
Well, I'll just tell you, back to back. I mean, last year's was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't absolutely full, but the game on the field was pretty good.
It was, yeah. That was one of the better ones. And, again, I always tell people that game is different from all the other Big Ten games that are played at that time. Now, maybe that statement isn't as true because you have schools like USC and UCLA, but essentially you're taking a cold weather sport and putting it inside and turning it into a track meet. And that's why the Big Ten championship game tends to be higher scoring. It's why it tends to go to the team with the better athletes. Last year, that was Oregon. Oftentimes it's Ohio State. Wisconsin's been in that game. They've won it, but when they've gone against Ohio State, they normally walk out of there as a loser. So it's a very unique game in that sense.
And Wisconsin was benefited a long time for being in the weaker division, so they'd kind of constantly make it to the Big Ten championship game and get smoked by Ohio State. This year, very clear that Ohio State, Indiana, and probably Oregon, looks like so right now, are going to make the college football playoff. Do you think there's a fourth Big Ten team that could sneak in there at all?
I think it's tough at this point. Honestly, the best case scenario for the Big Ten, and it's not one that'll be popular in Columbus, Ohio, would be for Michigan to win out.
There you
Michigan
go.
had a road loss at Oklahoma. They have a pretty significant road loss at USC, but they would have, a win against Ohio State, a win at Nebraska. That would be a resume that's worth examining if you're the College Football Playoff Committee. I think the problem for the Big Ten, it's why I have talked with people at very high level in that league about the fact that the Indiana-Illinois result was not a good result for the Big Ten. Yes, one of those teams is going to win. That's part of it. You don't want one of those teams to win the way Indiana did because it really diminishes the other team. And Illinois, if they win at Washington this week, that's a good win in my book. But they have two significant losses on their resume, and so does Washington. So I'm really having a hard time, especially with Nebraska, losing its second game, really having a hard time finding the fourth Big Ten playoff team.
Yeah.
It may just be three this year.
From ESPN and Sirius XM, it's Adam Rittenberg joining us. You can follow him on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg, and he joins us on the Danny and Justin radio program. Weekend Eve coming up. It'll be Matt Lepay, the voice of the Badgers here on Danny and Justin on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport. So, Adam, let's break down a little bit more the Oregon team because Dante Moore came in with a lot of questions at the quarterback position, and Oregon's had a lot of success over the last few years with Justin Herbert, with Bo Nix, with Dylan Gabriel, all NFL quarterbacks right now, and Dante Moore stepping into the shoes of those great players and kind of leading this team, stub the toe against Indiana, but overall has been fairly consistent for the Ducks. Where do you rate Dante Moore overall as a quarterback that could make it to the next level and play consistently?
I've been really impressed with Dante. I mean, he had that kind of gap year, which you almost never see in college football, where a quarterback of his caliber and his recruiting acclaim, so to speak, doesn't play for a year and sits there and learns. And you can see the benefit of the way he's played, the poise he's shown. I've been impressed with his athleticism. He was a guy that was described to me, very much as a pocket passer, not a guy that would move around. I think he's moved pretty well. and really other than the Indiana game has performed at a high level. And so I think he's a guy that certainly is on the NFL radar if he chooses to come out now, and certainly would be if he comes back to Oregon. But I think you're seeing now with his play why he was such an exciting recruit coming out of high school in Michigan. And, yeah, it's just taking him a little bit of time. It takes some guys a little longer, and that's okay. And I think Oregon's seeing the benefit of that right now.
And we've kind of already talked about, we all think Indiana's a good team. I think we're all in agreement on that. Oregon, at this point, their schedule, they're facing teams that they're going to be favored by at this point. What do they need to do to prove to you that they could be a team that could come back and beat an Indiana or Ohio State and make a run in the college football playoff?
Well, again, the thing I've always felt with Oregon going into the season was that their youth was going to get them at some point. It's still, you look at that depth chart, and it's still a lot of, true juniors, third-year sophomores, some true sophomores. It's hard to go through a season, again, like they did last year, without stumbling a little bit. And they certainly did that against Indiana. I think Dan's a tremendous head coach. He's got a great staff. They're not a team that's going to, like they showed last week, let one loss turn into two. And I'm really fascinated to see how they perform in a couple of weeks at Iowa. Iowa was the team that made Indiana sweat, and that's a tough place to play. It's not a great offense, but they grind it out. It's low possession. You can't make a lot of mistakes at Kinnick Stadium. I've seen a lot of teams that are more talented than Iowa go in there and lose. So that's going to be a real nice test for Oregon before ending the season with SC and Washington, two teams that are certainly capable of putting up points. I saw USC last week at Notre Dame, and they are a very dynamic passing attack that should be a little healthier with their run game by the time they face the Ducks. And so I think we'll know quite a bit about Oregon with the second half of their schedule, even though they have that loss on their resume.
Adam, can I indulge you? As I was doing research for this interview, and you've been on our program before, but can you tell me about the Finding Dolores, the podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Please, because it fascinates me, and I'm a guy that likes that true crime stuff and things. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, there's a college football connection to the Pacific Northwest, in that Dolores is Dolores Wolf, who is the mother of Paul Wolf, who's currently the head coach at Cal Poly, but was the former head coach at Washington State. Actually doing a really nice job this year at Cal Poly. But it's a story of what happened, when Dolores went missing in 1979, and everyone suspected Paul's father named Carl of doing something to her or with her. And but they never found her. There was a lot of suspicion. There was some evidence, but there wasn't enough to ultimately bring the father to justice. And it took 41 years until they were able to find Dolores, and that's what we explore in the podcast of why her body wasn't found right away and how it was eventually found, and just the different characters that are part of the story. Paul has a really interesting family, comes from an interesting part of California, right near Sacramento, and my colleague Kyle Bonagura and I, put together this 9-part true crime podcast just about that story. So it still has somewhat of a college football hook, but it truly is a true crime project.
There are 3 seasons called The Unforgotten. Go subscribe to it wherever you. I think it's featured on Apple Podcasts, but you can find it anywhere. Adam, it's fascinating me. You're an interesting guy that covers college football really well for us and everybody else on ESPN. But I love that there's another diversion and another thing that you go to. And by the way, I also love one of your photos on Twitter, which is the Rose Bowl full, with not during the regular season for UCLA, by the way.
You always have to be careful with which Rose Bowl photo you put up. It unfortunately can't be a regular season one these days.
No, it's not. Adam, we really appreciate your time. Love your insight. Thanks for contributing to the program. I know we kind of altered your schedule a little bit, so thanks for accommodating us.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
You bet. There he goes, the great Adam Rittenberg from ESPN. All right. Coming up next, we've got Matt Lepay, but I've got to do a little bit. We got to pay some bills here, Justin. The Grateful Ducks jersey has landed, baby. Commemorate the upcoming historic Grateful Ducks tie-dye out game with this one-of-a-kind jersey, tribute to the Grateful Dead and Nike. This campaign celebrates their shared vision and history in Eugene. Each jersey shoulder features a customized patch celebrating the fusion of Oregon and the Grateful Dead. The iconic Steal Your Face logo, a lightning bolt set within a skull, is reimagined. Colors swap for a U of O green and yellow, the skull becoming a duck head, bottom of the lightning bolt transforming into the recognizable Nike swoosh. These Grateful Ducks jerseys are available starting Friday. That's tomorrow, October 24th, 7 a.m., while supplies last, at any Duck store location. They're also available online, but will only be available for shipping and not in-store pickup. Sorry about that. If you're interested in wearing this jersey to the Wisconsin game, you'll need to stop by one of our store locations after 7 a.m. on Friday to pick one up. Ties to history, dyed to match. The Grateful Ducks collection is waiting for you at our favorite spot, the Duck Store. All right, Matt will play next. Big Ten power rankings as well. Dad joke. I had a submission for a dad joke from somebody at Bimart today.
I saw a really good one when I was visiting Willamette High School on their little board.
Can you send it to me so I can do it for tomorrow? But I've already got it locked in for today. That's all next on the Danny and Justin radio program. Justin and I will do our weekly Big Ten power rankings. That'll be coming up in the last segment of the program here on the Danny and Justin radio show here for a weekend eve. As we head on over the Oregon Man Clinics hotline at 541-343-5673 and welcome in returning guests and a good friend of the program and the voice of Wisconsin athletics, it's Matt Lepay joining us. Matt, heading out west. So have you ever been to Autzen Stadium?
Yes, 2001. Was out there when Joey Harrington was the quarterback for the Ducks. The Badgers played him early. It was the back end of a home and home. Oregon was here the previous season. Really exciting game, as was the game out there. I don't have a lot of specific memories of it, but I do remember it being very loud. There was a lot of hype surrounding Joey that year. Obviously, a very one of the great quarterbacks out there. So yeah, I do. It's 24 years ago, but I was there.
The stadium has changed a bit since you've been here, so we're going to welcome you with open arms. It's going to be a little bit rainy and windy, apparently, on Saturday. So although they say it never rains in Autzen Stadium, it's not going to rain in the press box, but you'll be just fine. That, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up. There was a 31-28 win, and it started a 4-game winning streak that Oregon's had over the Badgers. Badgers won the first 3 games dating back to 1977. You come out west, and a team that, and you've been seeing it up close and personal, so you can speak to it much better than I and Justin, but It's a wounded program right now. Off the field, there's a lot of talk about Luke Fickell. We'll talk about that in a second. But we're going to start with on the field because you've got a first-year offensive coordinator in Jeff Grimes. You've got a quarterback that was a transfer. I know Justin wants to ask a question specifically about that. But from your point of view, and especially the last couple of games where you've been scoreless, the team's been scoreless, what has kind of been the shift and how it's kind of slid to the position that we're in? Because it doesn't happen all at once.
Yeah, how much time do you have?
We got about 20 minutes for you, Coach.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that go into it. You certainly, what's real is the health or the bad health of this team. And that's been one of the storylines in Luke Fickell's time here, where the projected starting quarterback has been out there wire to wire about 30% of the games. So that's a hit. And they've been going with their third stringer here these last couple of games, or 3 ball games really, and Hunter Simmons, who didn't really play a ton in his time at Southern Illinois. Mm-hmm. Last year he started 3 games down there, played in 5, and had a season-ending injury, and had been a backup before that. But that's where they are. Billy Edwards was banged up in training camp, transfer from Maryland. The projected number 1 went down in the first half of the first game and has barely played since. Tried to play against Maryland a few weeks ago. It was obvious that it just wasn't going to go. The offensive line has had a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of shuffling there. So those things are real, and that's been a big part of this. It's pretty hard for me to judge the new offensive coordinator because he wants to play a more physical brand of football. You want to run it the way Wisconsin teams have been known for, certainly the last 30 years for sure, and they had a lot of really good running backs prior to that. but it's hard to run when you really don't have continuity in your offensive line. A couple of running backs have been banged up, so it's been a bit of a Murphy's Law. A lot of other factors are involved, I think, with the program being where it is right now, but the health of it, that is not debatable. They have had very bad luck in that regard.
And I grew up just a couple blocks away from Camp Randall Stadium near Vilas Zoo, and ever since I can remember, I'm 30 years old. It's been power running football for Wisconsin football. A great offensive lineman. Obviously, you mentioned the running backs. You could kind of list about 20 of them at this point. But you mentioned Billy Edwards Jr. It just feels like he was such a key part of this team coming into this season. How different could things have been? And obviously, I want to ask you about the schedule as well, because that's been brutal. But how different could it be just overall for this program if he's just healthy?
Yeah, it's a great question without a definitive answer. I would certainly think they would be in a better position because his experience. Now, look, the Maryland team he was on last year won just one game, but it was a tough year for him. He was behind an offensive line that was banged up and was under siege, but he still put together some pretty good numbers. Matter of fact, his passing yards last year at Maryland, that would rank third best single season all time at Wisconsin. Yeah, behind a guy named Russell Wilson to name one there, and then I think John Stocco maybe had a year that was really good, throwing the ball as well. So he was the clear number one. They thought and I thought too that they certainly had more experience in the room. Danny O'Neill, who started last year at San Diego State and has had his ups and downs here, and has played some. He stepped in at first when Edwards was injured, and then Simmons came in for him. They have done a little tag teaming, but it's mostly been Simmons. But the drop in productivity, I think it's fair to say, is considerable there. But they still, the offensive line, that was still a concern going into the year, and it's remained so because they've just had a hard time keeping the same five guys out there game to game. And
I mentioned the schedule earlier, and literally when we talk about other teams on this program, I go, okay, but look at Wisconsin's schedule. I mean, it's just been brutal. You play Alabama in the non-conference. You play all the big boys in the Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, now Oregon. Indiana is now the number 2 team in the country. They visit them on the road in a few weeks, Illinois. So is it just one of those things now where obviously there was a sense that this was going to be a challenging schedule coming into this year, but with Wisconsin's place now in the Big Ten, is there just a sense that like every year it's just going to be brutal in the schedule?
Yeah, it's certainly a tough year to have all of this go on within the program because there are no get well games. Sometimes your record can be disguised a little bit by how the schedule lays out, but at the same time, it's one thing to play the Oregons, the Ohio States, and now the Indianas of the world. But I think a major source of frustration with the fan base right now, and certainly concern with those in the building at Camp Randall, is you're getting passed by Indiana. A lot of other schools are as well. Mm-hmm. Iowa has boat raced you the last couple of years, and Minnesota came here, and Illinois has been a little bit of a problem. Wisconsin didn't play Illinois last year, beat them the year before, but beat Wisconsin in 2022, and that was the last game under Paul Chryst. So and certainly Brett looks like he's got a pretty good team down there in Champaign. Mm-hmm. So that's teams that you have fared well with for a while have now passed you. So that's a big trouble spot. I mean, you could look at next year's schedule and in theory say, hey, maybe it opens up a little bit, but how do we know that for sure in this era we're in and how rosters can be constructed year to year? So it's tough times. It's going to be, I think, nationally, you look at Wisconsin, it's fascinating to see how it's going to get out of this hole that they're in. For people within Badger Nation, I don't know if fascinating is the right word. It's obviously been a pretty bumpy ride here for the last few years.
You can follow the voice of the Badgers on Twitter at Matt Lepay, Lepay. He's one of the co-hosts of a favorite one of ours because Justin and I are both huge Green Bay Packer fans as well. In fact, I'm a shareholder. It's Larrivee and Lepay. It's Matt and Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Packers. That's a great podcast you guys put together. Very entertaining. Get some good guests on. In fact, I think you just had. Did you have the one of the Brewers on? Or you had
We
one?
did.
Yeah.
One of the Brewers broadcasters, Vinny
Yeah.
Rottino, who played in the major leagues, but he's been part of the Brewers broadcast team now for the last few years, and just recapping a really good year that ended by those guys running into a freight train called the Los Angeles Dodgers. But kind of put a wrap on that season. Talk a little bit about the Packers and Badgers as well. But yeah, we try to mix it up a little bit and just have some fun, get various guests on talking about all things Wisconsin sports.
All right, we're a couple more questions about the game coming up this weekend. It'll be a 4 o'clock kick on the West Coast as Oregon entertains Wisconsin. It's been a while. It's been, 24 years since Wisconsin's been at Autzen Stadium, and Matt will be there calling the game for Badger Nation. Let's talk about maybe it is a bright spot. The conference fifth best rush defense, only giving up 97 yards a game. Oregon has the best rushing offense in the Big Ten at 241 yards per game. Cooper Catalano, Mason Post have been a couple of bright spots at that linebacker position for you. Is that the strength of the Wisconsin defense in the middle?
Yeah, it is. It's they really wanted to address that. They got carved up quite badly, particularly the last few games of last year. They just didn't have the bodies or the depth to handle good running attacks or even average ones at the end of the year. So they do have some bigger people. They have more of them. But the flip side of that, they have faced teams that really haven't messed around trying to run the ball a lot, and they've had the quarterback play to be able to sling it around. Like last week, Julian Sayin almost had himself a perfect game. So on and so forth with what Alabama was able to do, Maryland, what the Terps were able to do a few weeks ago. So teams have been able to hurt the Badgers through the air. But the run defense, to their credit, they've done a nice job against it.
So, Matt, when you do your scout on Oregon and you take a look at when you're writing your game notes out and things that you're going to be watching for in keys, what are you looking at when you see first on the Ducks offensive side of the football, led by Dante Moore, a couple of incredible younger players, Corey Moore, Dylan Gresham's out there, and, of course, the running back room, which seems like they're just waves that the Ducks can throw at people. But what are you looking at on Oregon's offense?
Yeah, that's the thing is to keep an eye who's the running back this time. Somebody like De'Air Hill, a guy who can outrun most people, and Jordan Davison who can run over people, and Noah Whittington, who's he's the vet, obviously really good. The offensive line, I've been telling people here, I think you need to forget the whole image of what you thought old Pac-12 football was.
Sure.
And it really hasn't been for a while. It's just nothing but finesse and all this. I mean, the offensive line, when you can get 3 transfers with the experience and the ability that the Ducks have been able to get, and when you're replacing 4 starters and you still have that balance, rush to pass. Dante Moore obviously has been really good. This league has a lot of really good quarterbacks. Wisconsin has faced a few, and it's going to face another one Saturday, and it's going to face some more in the month of November. I really, I watch Kenyon Sadiq, and I'm thinking, this dude is a pro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like right now, the stuff that he can do, and defensively too. The front that they have, it's a team that you don't see a lot of weaknesses. Quite honestly, I mean, I know Indiana came in there a couple weeks ago, but I don't know if Indiana has many weaknesses either.
Yeah.
So it's just another one of those daunting tests here for Wisconsin.
We're here with Matt Lepay, the voice of the Badgers, as Wisconsin travels out west to take on the Ducks. 4 p.m. It'll be on FS1. But, of course, if you're in Badger Nation, you're going to be listening to Matt and his crew out here at Autzen Stadium in Big Ten play. All right, let's talk about what is on the field and now off the field. There's going to be some decisions in the offseason for Wisconsin AD Chris McIntosh, and he's tied to Luke Fickell and this job. And Luke is he's getting, I would imagine, with the press conferences that I've seen, he's trying to inspire, do everything to pull every lever he can to try and rescue this season. But after 3 straight losses, coming in with alternative uniforms, I mean, all the things that you try and do to kind of shake it up, it just doesn't seem to be working right now. So, I mean, how deep in jeopardy is Luke Fickell in this position?
Hard to say. Chris McIntosh, the AD, has given a couple of votes of confidence out there, and people view that as the dreaded vote of confidence. Who knows?
Yeah.
He did so after the Maryland game, and then he put out a letter to season ticket holders and donors, pledging his support toward him. And they've been in contact with the chancellor, Jennifer Mnuchin. I'm one of those, if he's here, then I'll do everything I can to help him. If it's speaking engagements, that kind of thing. But yeah, we have seen in college football already this year that if programs are going to make a change, they're not waiting, they're making the change. Earlier this week, actually the same day McIntosh put out his letter, there was one from Florida State's AD that had a different tone to it. They were going to finish the season and then do a full evaluation. But I think McIntosh's full intent is to stick with him. But I think so many things are involved here.
Yeah.
I don't think Luke Fickell took stupid pills when he came here from Cincinnati. I think the industry recognizes him as a very good coach.
Yeah.
This place got behind in NIL. You don't see the true transparency here, school to school. But last I checked, Oregon has somebody who's a fairly wealthy guy who can write up big checks and all that. That's not one of the deep, dark secrets in America these days. And Wisconsin, maybe philosophically got a little bit behind, or maybe more than a little bit behind, and trying to play some catch up. So then the question is, okay, if you have the resources and you're able to build those, and do you have the belief that the football staff has the ability to make the right evaluations and bring the right guys here who can stay here? Those are all questions that they have to answer. But I think to just say it is on Luke Fickell, certainly he has his share of blame, and he is owning that as we speak. But to say it's just him is misguided. There have been a lot of things that have gone sideways here, or just haven't developed in terms of NIL resource building that has been of benefit to the athletic department, but certainly to the biggest breadwinner, the football program. So to me, it's going to be interesting. Okay, what did you do? What didn't you do? Why? And what are you going to do to fix it? What is fixable? And those are the questions that they have to be asking themselves right now, and trying to come up with a solution to have the resources to give yourself the best chance to compete.
Well, and trying to compete, and it is an arms race. So we're with Matt Lepay, the voice of the Badgers, joining us on the Danny and Justin radio program. If the brass decide that Luke Fickell needs to see the door, it's $27.5 million for the buyout. And when you're behind the arms race a little bit, as you clearly stated, although they're probably going to get that gap closed pretty quickly, is that's another thing you have to factor into it. And fans can be fickle and impatient. I'm not using that as a throwaway line. No pun intended at all. But I think you've really touched on what's happened, especially with the transfer portal and NIL, is that there is an increased lack of patience. And when people like to throw out the numbers of, like with James Franklin, 4-21 against top 10 opponents, that's not acceptable. Well, last year you were in the national semifinal game. So I think there is too much of a trigger-happy society that goes on. But we all just to observe, right? Wayne, I just called you Wayne. Matt, maybe you can help us get Wayne on once in a while. That would be great as well. But I think you're going to enjoy coming out to Autzen. We're not going to have the best weather for you. You guys fly out. Since it's a late kick, when does the team come out? Are they coming out tomorrow, or are they coming out today?
They always travel the day before, so we'll get there probably late afternoon, early evening, something like that. So, it'll be a fairly mellow night, and then go over there, and hopefully it's not a torrential downpour. But we're due. We've had really excellent weather for every game that Wisconsin has had this year. Even down in Alabama, it was hot, but it could have been worse. So it's been. So I guess we're due. We're due for a rainy day.
All right. So a little inside pool for you for the broadcast. Number 10, Mateo Uiagalelei. You can call him Young Concrete. That is his nickname.
Young Concrete. Okay.
Yep. There you go. You can toss that in once. All right, sir. Thank you, Matt. We always appreciate your time. Great information and insight. You are a calm presence there and the Wisconsin microphone. And by the way, you do not have a face for radio. You are a handsome man.
Well, I appreciate that, I guess. So, thanks much. We look forward to heading out there.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
All right, take care.
All right, there he goes, the great Matt Lepay, the voice of the Badgers. Hey, he said, I can say that because I'm not a handsome man.
Danny, you don't always have to do that. You're fine. You're doing fine, buddy.
No, I appreciate that. I had 2 guys say that to me this weekend. It was just like, really? I already know that. Get a new line. All right, we come back. Big Ten Power Rankings. You ready?
Yes, I am.
I think I know we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to muck those down. And thank goodness we're not putting them in any particular order. But Justin and I will give you our Big Ten Power Rankings next as we close out the show here on a Thursday. Big thanks to Adam Rittenberg from ESPN and, of course, the great Matt Lepay, who kind of got awkward there at the end of the interview when I called him handsome.
That's all right.
He's a striking man.
Yeah, he could have done TV and radio.
I think he does.
do TV and radio.
Hopefully I can make it up to him with breakfast on Saturday, but only 14 teams in the Big Ten in action. We'll get to our Big Ten Power Rankings in a moment as we close out the program. Tomorrow on the program, Big Bets, and we have a brand new sponsor.
Dare I say bigger bets?
Ooh. You might be onto something. Coquel Casino's jumping in to help us out on Big Bets, and we are going to have the 4th Musketeer tomorrow to help pick games from Coquel Casino, and the pot is bigger. Now we always had, you get our prize pool and stuff. So here's the thing: we are going to pick our games. Well, everybody gets to pick the same games, and if you beat us, our best score is going to be out there, and if the fan base beats our score, you get a 2-night stay at Coquel Casino and $100 to bet with. Now, you can't bet sports on it down there, but you can do the table games, you can do the slots, you can do any of that stuff. Transportation is not included, but you get a 2-night stay on the coast if you beat us in Big Bets. And if we win, Justin, you, I, Goose, or our guy from Coquel, then we're not us, but Coquel Casino is going to contribute $100 to Special Olympics South Coast, which is really cool.
It is very, very cool. I love that. I'm so glad we were able to do that.
So that starts tomorrow right here on the program and right around this time. Actually, we'll start at 2:40, so tune in for that. All right. We got to talk about Chauncey Billups. And Chauncey Billups, coach of the Blazers, charged with 1 count of wire fraud, 4 counts of money laundering. Conspiracy is expected to make initial court appearance on Thursday. That's today. So apparently that already happened. So federal prosecutors announced over 30 people indicted, 2 separate illegal gambling-related cases. Can we please just let this play out before we start making, going to the jump to conclusions map thing? Please, I'm pleading with everyone out there. Just let it play out. It might not end up being great.
It doesn't look great.
It doesn't, but
I agree. We should play. I think what's more interesting is what's going to happen to the team. Whatever happens with Chauncey,
right.
whatever happens with Chauncey, that'll play out.
It's a distraction for the team now. It's horrible.
It's terrible.
And a new ownership group coming in for the Blazers. That doesn't look great. I get exhausted by this stuff, though, with national talk show hosts using their microphone to make assumptions when they don't know. Anybody who's telling you something that has a microphone that is making a conclusion, please do not listen to them. They have no clue. Please let it play out. Terry Rozier's involved, Portland Trail Blazers coach Chauncey Billups, former NBA player Damon Jones. This is tied to the mafia, illegal poker games, point shaving. There's a lot of nasty stuff in here, and it's unfortunate. Let's let it play out.
It certainly is going to play out, and
we will cover it when it does. Yeah. Okay, and we will comment.
It will be interesting to see.
All right, so let's do our Big Ten power rankings. We have perfect 5 minutes.
Excellent.
Here we go. All right, so the way we do this, can we have some music underneath? Do we have a long track we can do? Come on, Mr. Superior Producer Justin. So we do our power rankings. So this is not necessarily one team better than the other, but, if they were on a neutral site, kind of like what Josh Pate does, and I like the way Josh Pate does it, is that they are power rankings. Okay, if you're on a neutral field,
who would you think
would beat
win?
the other? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Neutral site.
So I will do so we don't do every single team. We muck, as I like to say, put it in the little pig trough, the 11 through 18. So here's my 11 through 18. obviously, at the bottom, unfortunately, is Wisconsin. Well, I'm not going to say it.
Not the bottom, but
no, it's not the bottom. They're
bottom.
in the muck. They are in the bottom. Wisconsin, Purdue, Rutgers, Michigan State, Penn State, Maryland, UCLA, and Northwestern are my 11 through 18. Mr. Justin Grossman.
My 11 through 18 are Wisconsin, Purdue, Rutgers, Penn State, Michigan State, Maryland. I do have Washington. No Nebraska, though.
You have Washington in your bottom 10 through 18? Okay, go ahead.
No, I do. I have them in the top 10.
Okay, all right.
They're in the top 10.
Okay, we were just doing 11 through 18.
I know. I was saying they're not. I was going over the teams. They are in the top 10. They are not in my bottom. So I think we're pretty similar. I think you had Nebraska in the top 10.
I
think that's the only difference.
Yes, I do have Nebraska.
Okay, that's the only difference we have.
Okay, all right. So number 10.
Number 10 for me is UCLA. I'm all in. I'm actually surprised at this point you don't have them in the top 10. I don't know. They're a completely different team. And Nico Iamaleava, just I have to say, after the first 4 weeks, like I was sitting there saying, like, I don't know why we ever thought this guy was talented. And I basically have been completely wrong. I mean, it just goes to show that leadership is a huge thing. And ever since the firing of Deshaun Foster, this is a different team. And right now, I'm in. I'm in on them.
All right. Illinois drops 2 in my poll. They're number 10 right now. And I got Washington at number 9. I got Illinois at number 10, and I got Washington at number 9.
Ranked Illinois?
Yes. I've got Illinois at number 10, Washington at number 9. You want to argue with me about these?
I'm just surprised.
Okay, that's what I've got.
Well, I've got Minnesota at number 9. Minnesota, they're 3-1 in conference, 5-2. Like,
and that's who I have at number 8. So who do you have at 8?
I have Washington. I mean, Washington, they certainly don't look as good as last week.
One team difference.
I understand. And they lost to Michigan, which is a game that would have been big for them to win. But I still think that they're kind of a borderline top 10 team for me.
All right, so we've gone 10, 8, 9. Number 7 for me are the Trojans of USC. They are only 1-2 against ranked foes this season. And especially after the Notre Dame loss Saturday, Lincoln Riley's critics are starting to pop up out of the woodwork. I have them at number 7.
I also have them at number 7.
There we go.
I think we're in agreement there.
Nebraska, I have at number 6. Who do you have at 6?
I have Iowa.
Okay. All right. Michigan at 5 for me.
I also have Michigan at 5.
Okay. Iowa, I have at 4. They've rised a bit.
I have Illinois. I mean, they're your number 10. They're my number 4. But I also don't see a difference between.
Is there a big difference between 4 and 10?
There really
That's the whole thing.
Big Ten.
In that, we've talked about this before, is that the cream has risen again to the top. And so I've got, so here we go. Top 3. Do you want to say it together?
Well, I'll just say this before we get to that.
Okay.
The reason I put Illinois and Michigan at my 4 and 5 spots, is I see those as the 2 teams that if there is going to be a 4th playoff team, it would be one of those 2 schools. So that's kind of my reasoning for putting them in that 4-5 slots.
Okay.
But totally understand if you don't want to say, hey, I think that Iowa would win in a head-to-head. Like, I'm not going to be against that at all.
You want to say it together? 3, 2, and 1?
Yes. Ready?
Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't know how you could do it any other way.
Oh, that's going to be a drop somewhere. All right, so there you go. Our Big Ten power rankings. It's fairly simple once you get to the top 3.
Exactly.
I mean, 4 through 10 for us. I like the division. I like the different viewpoints, which is fair. I mean, I think we can make arguments.
Illinois is just this one team that just is so controversial. You and Mims do not like Illinois at all.
No, it's not that I don't like Illinois.
Compared
I
to
just
me,
don't believe.
apparently.
No, it's not. It's not about a like. It's about a belief. There's a difference between like and belief.
No,
Justin.
I understand. I just think that it's interesting because Indiana just blows out Illinois. And so it just gives this perception of like, okay, it's 3 teams at the top. And then after that, it's just so close.
It's fair. It's a fair argument. It's not right, but it's fair. All right, let's do dad joke.
All right.
Oh, a joke!
I hope I
got
don't.
fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
I really don't hope I get in trouble for this one. This was from a listener.
All right, I have the dump button right here.
I'm not going to say what the name of the listener is, but I'm going to read it because I thought it was funny. What do you call a psychic midget on the run from the law?
I don't know. This is all you, buddy.
A small medium at large.
Oh boy.
Come on, man.
That's pretty. I mean, listen.
A small medium at large. Use that one tonight, folks.
Yeah.
We always close out the show.
Mine was
with
a
dad
lot less
joke.
controversial.
Use it tomorrow.
I will.
Yeah. No, we will. Do you want to do
Sure,
the dad
I'll do it
joke tomorrow?
Yeah.
Would you?
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome if you would finish off like
Absolutely.
that. So on the who do we have as a guest tomorrow again? Remind me. Do we have?
We're figuring it out.
Okay. Production value in the
we're
program.
gonna get into the Blazers though.
Yes, we will. Tomorrow on the program, Danny and Justin, Goose will be in studio. Big bets tomorrow as well. Tune in. God bless. Put a smiley face on us. They deserve. So do you. Peace.